you know, after looking at it, looking over everything, you know, your daughter's just basic. I said, basic? And by that time, it took another turn. Because I'm thinking like, okay, if your Star Academy brochure says that you're going to educate the whole child, you're gonna provide these enrichments, you're gonna do all of this, that looks like Bell Academy. That looks like Hayes Cooper. Well, if they can provide it for the basic students as well as the advanced students, why can't we have a magnet middle school? I think that that would be the difference maker when it comes to people leaving the district. They stay for elementary, but when it's time for middle school, they go. Okay, they said to me, well, there's no difference. Well, why is it that the Star parents were the only parents who got an orientation after hours? I had to take off of work from 8:30 to 11:30 just to pick up my daughter's schedule. How is that equal and accessible to everybody?
All right, let us discuss this with the superintendent, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the list? Well, we'll start with cabinet update.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's been a long day. We started out early, we finishing late. First day of school. I'll begin by going through our district. We have a vision, we have a mission, and we have our values and our 7 fundamentals. We have 4 goals, which are student achievement, positive culture, community engagement, and employee retention that we really focus on for our 4 goals. So I'll begin my updates by talking about Lenny's, support for our AR winners for the month of August. Mr. Will Bradham has really stepped up. He helps us out a lot. The winners of our overall AR for the month of August receive 10% off at Lenny's on anything that they order. So they have to show their ID. Lenny's has a list of employees at those 3 schools. So that was really good, and I thank Mr. Bradham for doing that. He's stepped up, and he's working with our work-based learning as well. PEBT.
Before you even get started,
Okay.
because that's a hot topic in our district right now.
Yes, ma'am.
I need to know why is it that we didn't qualify for PEBT?
Okay. I think there's a discrepancy that has unfolded through the PEBT. First off, I would like to say we never do anything that will take any money out of anybody's pocket, and we do everything we can for the children. So what happened was we received a survey before the summer, and the survey came with minimal directions. It just said 51% had to be virtual. There was no directions. So the information was given to the principals to complete by those instructions only. So we completed the information before the deadline, we submitted it. So when it came back, there were a list of schools and school districts in the state that came up with nothing. And so a lot of complaints came to MDE. So on the 28th, I think it's the 28th of July, there was a question answer with MDE that our district participated in because we were one of the districts that got nothing. Well, during that question and answer, there were questions. They relayed information about you can count your days you were virtual, the days that you were quarantined. All of those things were not mentioned in the first set of directions. And so once we got all that information, went right back to the principals, explained all the new criteria to them. So now we have schools that qualify.
Oh, okay. Good.
So we're going to release a statement tonight or tomorrow about the schools that qualify. So I want to clear that up because it was never that we're trying to take money out of anybody's pocket. That's just not us. So I just want to make sure I clarify. Aviation course. Mr. Cotton has worked really close with Delta State, and we have our first aviation course of a few to come, hopefully, with Delta State. So we're trying to make it so it's a cohort of kids that we can take one class this time, and we get up to a number of 4 maybe, and by the time you can transfer out to Delta State. and then you'll have 4 aviation classes, hopefully, that you'll have by the time you go into Delta State to take the whole course. They offer a degree in aviation.
Are they coming to the schools, or how they doing it, Coach?
It's going to be virtual. They're going to instruct it, and we're going to facilitate it at our school,
In the library?
in computer lab.
So, Coach Patton,
Yes.
will that begin this semester or next semester?
Next week.
Next week? Oh, that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Do you have kids already? Who are
Ms. Horton set the deadline for tomorrow for those kids that are going to register for it, so we'll
Okay.
find out a little bit more about it.
Okay, awesome.
Is it like a vocational class, is it a two-part class? You know, voc classes are usually two parts.
Right. No, it's a straight dual credit course with Delta State.
If they chose to go to Delta State, it'd be the aviation department through ours. Transfer exactly into
See,
that.
what I would do is ask mine, I put mine in there because I need classes for those seniors to take.
Correct.
So you put them in there.
And then actually, if they don't go to Delta State, it'll be an elective credit.
Elective.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we've been working, he's been working close with MDE and everything. It's gonna be good. Face coverings at school. Today's the first day, as you know. We initially came out and said that we were gonna make it optional, and then we changed it to make it mandatory to wear face covering. So I invited 2 people to come speak to us about the importance of face coverings. I invited Dr. Brett Smith and Dr. Nora Goss. Could y'all record? And they're gonna give some brief information about face coverings.
I don't have hand out, I'll let you do it. I'll kick it in.
Want me to hand them out?
You need some help?
I need somebody to read it, Mr. Evans.
First statement. Read this board.
I am allowed to make fun of him. His son was in my wedding. And I was at his son's wedding, so we grew up together. My name is Brent Smith. I'm a family physician that practices in Cleveland and am on staff at North Sunflower Hospital. I am our acute care medical director and our physician lead on our COVID response team committee. The people that unfortunately have the decisions when it comes to COVID and the way we do hospital care. Also do some work with the MHSAA talking about athlete safety. So COVID and the issues that we're facing right now are a big part of my life over the last year and a half, and I appreciate the opportunity to come speak about this because it is something that in the last month has become really a big object of concern for me. And that, in the papers I gave you, if you'll flip to the second part, there is an information handout from the CDC that talks about the difference in what we're facing now versus what we've been facing in the past year, and that is the relative contagiousness of the Delta strain of COVID, the COVID virus. What you used to see, as a good analogy, what we used to see is you or I would go on a ride. Say we got in my truck, me, you, and 2 other people. I was COVID positive, didn't realize it. Maybe I just had sinus drainage. What I would see as a physician providing care the next week in clinic was maybe 1 other person in that car would get sick. And that was concerning because, of course, the contagiousness of it. What we're seeing now is you'd be very shocked if all 4 of the people in that car did not come down with it within a week. It is that much more contagious of a strain of the virus. So you ask yourself, when you're dealing with something that's this much more contagious, and a largely unvaccinated population, I understand vaccination is a controversial topic, but the reality of the situation is that Mississippi is around 30 to 35% vaccination, even lower than that in the age range of children because of only recent access to vaccination. So you ask yourself, you have a much more contagious strain of the virus, you have people about to come back or now back into close proximity. What are your options for preventing or mitigating your risk? And in our situation, realistically, the best option you have is masking. Universal masking from the jump is, to be honest with you, the only way we're going to avoid a big issue in the next 6 to 8 weeks as case numbers spike. How effective is masking? Well, how effective is not masking when you have a virus that's known to be about 50% of people that initially get it will be asymptomatic. So you cannot rely on symptom screening, especially in the early phase, to keep people out of your school. They will come for a day or 2 before they even develop symptoms. As many as 40% will never be symptomatic, but will be spreading the virus in that situation, especially in in the age group that we're talking about, where it's not uncommon to see 6 or 8 of them sitting together at one time, periodically through the day, and then will intermingle with literally hundreds of other people. So you have a virus that's very contagious, that has a high number of people that are asymptomatic. In close proximity and a low vaccination setting, the only real option you have is masking in that situation to reduce your risk. Masking is effective in a lot of ways. We see it in the hospital setting. We have masked our employees for the last 2 years almost. We're sitting at 18 months of masking full-time in the hospital. I can tell you empirically, the outbreaks that we have had, and we have not had many, I'm very proud to say that, have been when we were casual about our masking. When we sat down and ate together, not realizing that the exposure there, and we accidentally exposed each other. We have not had mass outbreaks among employees, despite the proximity. We have not had a mass outbreak among patients on either side of our hospital or in our therapy staff. Masking works in that situation because we did not see that even before vaccination. There are a lot of concerns about masking, whether it's truly effective or not, but we have, over the course of the last 18 months, learned that it is literally the best option we have. In this situation, masking reduces your risk of exposure. The American Academy of Pediatrics actually takes the close contact distance down to 3 feet if both people are masked. And that reduces your incidence, and especially in the school setting where you don't have that much space. So as we go back to school, especially in the next 6 to 8 weeks, which is about how long this spike will last, if we look empirically at how long the last several of the spikes have lasted. And if you look at how it's been in Great Britain and the United Kingdom, with how long their spike has lasted, they preceded us with Delta, and their spike has lasted about 6 to 8 weeks. Over the course of that time, if we don't really stringently enforce masking along with every other measure with close contact and the basics of COVID precautions, you're very high risk of an outbreak that could shut your schools back down, which none of us want to see from either a medical standpoint or a work standpoint. Other things to keep in mind with this is it's a community advocacy issue at this point to try to reduce the risk of back to school. Hospitals are full at this point. You will not hear that as openly, as honestly said as it is, but the wait to get an ICU bed in the state now is somewhere around 3 to 4 days. All right, I had to transfer a patient out of Rubel yesterday for a lead on her brain, and it was the 4th hospital called before that the university's transfer system could get it lined out, and they were going to wait in the ER for an unknown period of time. So we owe it to our communities to try to really reduce the risk of a massive spread in this situation. So masking, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be a specific type of mask. Masking is a lot like medication. The most effective kind is the one you'll take. Masking is most effective in the one you'll wear. So comfortable 2-layer cloth masks are just fine. You will not see me wear a KN95 or N95 anymore after being vaccinated unless I'm directly caring for a COVID patient. All right, that is as much to protect me as anything else. But you got to remember, masking in this situation is not to protect me. It is to keep me from accidentally exposing you. In that situation, the cloth masks are perfectly fine. So 2-layer cloth masks are perfectly acceptable and will reduce your risk considerably in this situation. It may be an issue of lasting for the entire semester. You may really only need it for 3 to 6 months, but if you don't, you will see a lot of what's happened in school districts in southern Mississippi where they've already had to go back and shut down less than a week back in school because of the outbreaks. It is that contagious and that concerning. Except from the medical standpoint, to us, this is more concerning than it was even back in November because things have changed with how capable we are of caring for this. We have the ability to care for it better, but we admittedly have less hospital beds than we had back last year. So that is my appeal to you to mask in this situation. It's from a medical standpoint, the single best thing we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple of questions.
Yes.
The 3 foot is with the CDC, that's what everybody's in agreement with now. The 6 foot they just pulled out of the air somewhere last year.
There was actually some study behind that, which was that in the average situation, droplets from casual speech would travel about 6 feet. 3 foot is what the American Academy of Pediatrics came out with as their recommendation once we were in masking and they had a little better chance to study it out.
So if we have someone that gets it, and our policy that I guess we're in the process of altering, there's a new we had to do a new safety plan.
Yeah, we did a new safety protocol.
So if everyone in that classroom is masked, even including a vaccinated person that could be in the class, and there is a case in that class, one case, on contact tracing. How far out? 3 foot? But if everybody's wearing a mask and we can prove they were wearing a mask, or they, the teacher said we wore masks, that just that one person we have to quarantine?
Not if you go by the current standard practice, which is in a setting where both people are masked, you reduce it to 3 feet. If the person is vaccinated, there's no call for close contact.
No, vaccinated. But an unvaccinated person, unless they're within that 3 feet
For
for
more than
15 minutes without a mask. So just a teacher walking through the classroom,
Not close
or,
contact.
okay, or front of the classroom lecturing, not within the 3 feet.
Not a close contact, especially if the person that tests positive is masked.
If both individuals are masked.
You don't have to quarantine the whole class.
Not in that situation.
Whoever's got the symptoms, you quarantine.
If you were stringent about your universal mask,
All right.
you could take that as a reasonable precaution.
And the principals, I think, did as good a job they could keeping mask on people last year. I'm sure there's places,
Right. Keep in mind, your task here is the mitigation of the risk at school. Kids will go out and do what they're gonna do outside, but what you don't wanna see is child A in classroom is sick, and then 3 days later, you start having 4 or 5 other kids out that have test positive. You will always have a few cases. That's going to happen just because they're gonna go out in the community and do their thing, and that's unavoidable. It's the same world we live in when staffing in the medical community. I can make them wear a mask at work, I have no control over them at home. Your goal in this situation is to not have an entire classroom out, not have an entire grade out. It's to keep your percentages low enough that you can continue, right, or continue your school life.
How
You do a mask
important is
mandate.
proper mask wearing?
So over the nose, over the face, aren't continuously unless they're eating or drinking. So not the casual, not the under the nose. It's very much just a constant reminder to be advisable of it. They have to get comfortable to the point that it's no longer the easy thing to do to slip it off before them.
Is that strictly indoors or outdoors too?
Indoors. Focus on the indoors. Even in the outdoor setting, even the CDC and the State Department of Health says as long as you're keeping distance, you don't have to worry as much about masking. In fact, when we put out our High School Activity Association guidelines, the focus is on the risk of indoor activity. So even, like I said, football team right now, outdoors with no mask on is fine. Reality is, as soon as they go in the locker room, they need to be masking up until they finish and dress. That's the kind of the difference in that situation.
All right.
Anything you want to add?
Good afternoon.
How are
Dr.
you?
Nora Goff Davis, family nurse practitioner, associate professor of nursing at Delta State, undergraduate coordinator. And just to piggyback off what Dr. Smith said, I just want to give a personal testimony. As a student nurse clinical instructor, I had the opportunity to assist students with taking care of 67 positive COVID patients in an intimate setting, in a room, in a hospital room. I tested my antibodies after we were finished with clinicals. I had 0 antibodies, supposedly meaning I didn't have any exposure. Well, I took that mask off at home. My grandson exposed me. I had a pulmonary embolism in my right lung, December 18th last year. That was life-changing for Nora. Okay, so I'm very passionate about proper mask wearing. If you wear a mask and I don't wear a mask, you wear yours improperly, I don't wear mine, we have a situation. So everybody has to wear it properly if it's going to be effective. Had a line sister yesterday, had a pulmonary embolism. We're burying her Sunday. So it's just that serious. And that could have easily been me. So just, not from what the statistics say, I'm telling you from what Nora has experienced. Masks are important and masks do work, but you have to wear them properly. And if you have yours on wrong, I got mine on right, but I have on an N95, I got a little more protection, but we both have on those 2-ply masks. You wear yours off your nose, like some of us do, we all do. Everybody here is guilty of that, I know we are. Then we have a situation, and with this being so contagious, it increases the risk of passing on. And that's all for me, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it, Brent.
All right. The other thing we had today, we had school visits. First day of school, always go around to the different places. central office staff were invited to go, and Ms. Short joined us. And anything you want to say about today, Ms. Short?
It was awesome. It was something totally different. The kids seemed to really buy into it. The staff was excited, and I think that excitement kind of rolled over into the kids. And I'm looking forward to next year already. Kind of I didn't get to see you today when we were at your school.
We have media there.
I hope we don't have to do it like that next year. Ooh, Jesus.
We had media there. We had interviews. Ms. Short did an interview. We had newspapers there.
Our PR group was
Our
there.
PR group was there. They created the plan and actually came through to make sure that we went through with it and executed it as well as it was supposed to be executed. So it was a really good day. No big deals at the schools.
Were they wearing masks?
Yes.
Yes. One good thing too, there was a teacher at DM Smith who said she had never met Dr. Belcher.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, that's amazing.
She knew?
So,
Yeah.
no, I mean,
Second year.
she's seen him,
Yeah.
but she's never been close enough to him to interact with him. So I thought that was a good thing as well.
So we got a chance to go in different classrooms, talk. It was pretty good. Star program. Mr. Hill.
Good evening, everybody. I am Mr. Hill, the principal at Cleveland Central Middle. And I'm just gonna briefly describe, kind of go over the Star Academy. Star Academy is an accelerated program that's been in the district since the early 90s. We revamped it this year. I worked along with Dr. McCarty and Ms. Thompson to kind of bring a little more relevance to it for the 21st century. Previously, it was only assessed by an algebra readiness test. But it's a comprehensive program that involves English, history, science, and math. So we kind of brainstormed and added that writing component. We added community service hours, and we also added the state test component. Due to COVID, of course, we're not going to penalize a child for their state test because the state didn't count them. But we did use it as a good piece of data so that when working with those teachers, they kind of know where a student is relative to where they're going to have them. So the process was I transitioned to the middle school in June 1st. And from then, I worked with the elementary principals to set up testing dates. Ms. Thompson, curriculum director, we worked very closely to try to take the middle school staff out of the testing process and kind of have her instructional coaches lead that process. So the instructional math coach, who is Ms. Shanquita Henry, she was responsible for designing and administering and scoring the algebra readiness test. Ms. Chandra Johnson, who was then the instructional ELA coach for secondary, she provided the writing prompt and scored them. Ms. Thompson, we tested, I want to say June 10th. Ms. Rosa, is that right, June 10th? I think it was June 10th, we scheduled it out. Ms. Katie Parker, Holly Wells, Shanquita Henry, and Ms. Jaleesa Phipps were all responsible for testing. And they were assigned a different school. They picked up all the testing documentation from Cleveland Central Middle. They signed out, we made sure that they had an accurate count. So it was 102 at DM Smith, 40 at Vail, 38 at Hayes Cooper, 40 at Pierman, and 23 at Park. So we made sure they had exactly the right amount of tests. They took roll to make sure we accounted for every student. I worked with the principals once we got it back to make sure that those students who were absent had the opportunity to test. Students who were already enrolled to go to Bayou Academy or NSA, we made sure that they tested anyway, even though we know they weren't going, just in case they had a change of mind. And so once we did that, the testing process, instructional coaches literally, I created a Google sheet. They input the scores, and then I kind of just tabulated. The tabulation, the requirements were, it was the top 40 students. It was 241 students in 6th grade last year. We tested all 241, and we took the top 40. The requirements for the writing prompt, MBE does a 12-point scale. We use the MBE rubric. On that, we said a 9 out of 12 was the minimum. The algebra readiness exam, we said a 40 out of 50. Because when we're thinking about STAR, we're thinking about those kids who are gonna be 4s and 5s, because we wanna incorporate more reading, more writing, more research into those classes. So we wanna really push those kids. Not to negate the other students, but just because that's a core group. Now, in conversations with Dr. Belcher, leading up, during this process, STAR is also a program that, while it's already established, is one that necessarily wasn't my brainchild. And so my thought process coming from secondary, being a middle school and high school teacher, I'm more worried about credits than a title of STAR. So we're actually, this year, we're trying to slowly kind of back away from the concept of STAR to go with more credit-based classes. So at the middle school this year, we've incorporated print journalism, which is a high school credit. We've incorporated Spanish 1, which is a high school credit, and we've opened it up to not just only those STAR kids as previously done, but it's for the kids who scored 3B and above in ELA. So we're putting them in Spanish 1. Next year, the goal is to incorporate Spanish 2, so that when they get to high school, they have their foreign language credits out of the way. We're also working with Ms. Jackson with CTE to kind of incorporate more of those things, because there are kids in middle school who already know they want to do a trade. So we want to try to make sure we're trying to get that connection stronger. So what we're trying to do with our District of Innovation, working with Dr. McCarty and previously Ms. Mitchell with the District of Innovation, we want to bring Cyber Foundations, which is currently 7th grade. We want to move that to 6th grade. So we can move Cyber Foundations 2 to 7th grade and then incorporate Keystone, which is going to help those students who want to do a trade. It kind of helps them visualize and pinpoint exactly what they want to do. So that in 9th grade, when they meet with their counselor, if they want to do well, then they'll be able to have access to that. If they want to do farming, we can get them in ag. If they want to do anything in medicine, we can get them assigned to that allied health. So we're trying to not necessarily eliminate STAR quickly, but we're trying to phase it out to get the parents to kind of meet, to understand more credit-based than just the title. And so the STAR parent meeting that we had, which was a separate meeting, it was more explaining to the parents how it's going to look, because I wanted them to understand some parents did not even have a clue that their child was going in the 8th grade, 2nd year of STAR, and they had high school credits already. Like, they didn't know. So it was more of an information to let them know that your child already has this many credits and they'll leave 8th grade with 5 credits. But it's an opportunity that we're trying to work into our master's schedule so that all students have some form of access to college credits. I mean, high school credits, I apologize.
It's a great thing.
Appreciate it.
My son was in middle school, he went through that, and when he made it to the high school, I wanna say, he had maybe 6, no, I don't remember, I just remember the ICT, the Spanish one, something else, but I know he
Yeah,
had
right
high
now we
school
have
credit.
Cyber Foundations, 1 and 2 are high school credits, Spanish 1, print journalism, 8th grade compacted math, and then we want to add algebra 1 in Mississippi Studies and World Geography for 8th grade.
What grade?
8th grade.
Shut up.
Yeah, and then next year we're trying to, I just want to make sure I have the right person, but I want to incorporate that algebra 1 back in, so that even though the scores won't count for the middle school, I want to make sure we got the right teacher with the right students, so that when they go to the high school, Coach Cotton gets those scores in 2 years. So I don't want to give him anything that's just not good, but I want to be able to give that opportunity to those students.
Parents will appreciate that, because when I tell you, when my son graduated, he went to school as a sophomore, he went to college as a sophomore, because he had so many credits, so.
Yes, and so that's part of the vision, to try to help the acceleration piece at the high school, so that they can do AP courses and dual enrollment. So Coach Cotton kind of has a core group of kids, and he's able to kind of get those boxes, because at the end of the day, the high school has those boxes that nobody else has. So we have to try to make sure that as a middle school, we support them.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, our next one is the Blue Cross Blue Shield Award. We have a chance to present Bell Academy with their Blue Cross Blue Shield Award. They won, these ladies, and I let them have their own flowers and talk. They won $50,000. So, Miss Russell, you and Coach Jacob would just explain to them all this stuff that y'all have to do.
So, I had the honor of having Coach APOC at my building, which is a big deal for me. We write a lot of grants together, And so we spend a lot of time outside of school writing grants, but this particular grant was written, let me come here.
Give me one more hand, y'all.
This particular grant, it took the whole school to write because it went from our cafeteria manager, Miss Thelma, our nurse Karen, our counselor, Miss Kim Jones, the physical member, everybody at Bell. So it was a big grant to write because we do not put anything in our grants that do not actually happen. If they're happening minimally, we don't put that when we're writing a grant. So Coach Acock and I said, well, what's our evidence? So we spoke to our teachers, and so it really was, we didn't get it last year because we didn't have all the evidence, and so we were disappointed, and so we made sure during our COVID year particularly that we were able to show the evidence of what we were doing to be a healthy school. So, and after this one, we also found out a week later that we received a $3,000 grant for whole kids food. So great things happening for health. Yeah, the garden group right there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So, next up is business.
Good evening. Alright, I'm here to give you the financial update for June 2021. The bank reconciliations, the cash on hand for district maintenance shows 12.5 million. Payroll has 765,000. Cash on hand of June 30th, 2021. Accounts payable was 1.9 million. Food service is 950,000. All funds was 17.48 million, 17.4 million, sorry. Last year this time we were about 15.7 million and we were up about 1.7. As you can tell, I did say that these are pending because as you know, June 30 is the end of the school year and we will be working on closing out the financials and getting your you a completed budget, ending budget for FY21. And with that said, that due date is for October 15th, and so hopefully we will come back and give you how the district really ended for the school year for FY21. Last year, the district had 9.7 million as of a fund balance as of June 30th. This year, we were looking at about 11.1 million, an increase of 1.4. And we will come back again, like I said, with the final numbers in October, just in case anything changes, so you can see how your financials ended for the school year. Statement of revenues and receipts through June, we got 37.1 million. Last year, we got 36.8 million, so we had an increase of about 304,000. Statement of expenditures, 35.2 million through June. Last year, this time, 35.4 million. So we're a little under the expenditures for June as of this time last year.
And if there are no more questions about the cabinet update, that'll conclude. You all have all the other departments in your report. So if there are no other questions, that concludes my cabinet update.
All right, can I get a motion to approve cabinet update as presented?
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
And motion to second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Then motion and second, to approve the consent agenda, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, set date and time, next regular board meeting, September 13th, Monday at 6 p.m. That, check y'all's calendars.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine.
Oh, that's my anniversary, by the way.
You can bring her.
About to be 35. Oh. Is that the day that we'll go to Hayes Cooper?
We can set it up.
And you'll let the PR folks know, town of Marigold, all that good stuff.
Oh.
And that'll be at 12 o'clock.
We can do it at noon, yeah. We didn't set a time because we don't know your times.
Oh.
Is noon good?
Well, that would start our
School
school
visitation.
visitation's
Yeah.
back. So we typically met there at 12. Set the presentation up for 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Is this to include the students? Because I noticed today at 12 o'clock they were out at lunch.
You talking about for the dedication of the building?
Yeah.
I would think the students.
No.
I think that'd be the town administrators,
Yeah.
Mr. Harrington, you know,
Okay.
and, Lucille, we used to go before all this COVID stuff, you had to go to each school. So we'd meet there, at a specific school, have lunch, eat the cafeteria.
I remember.
Tour was about, take about an hour, about 30 minutes to eat, about 30 minutes to walk
Yeah.
through. But since you've been here, I don't think we've done them, have we?
No.
One time.
One,
No.
I mean, that first year we did it
First
on the
year.
front end.
No. I came
You
out
went on.
everywhere.
Yeah, you went on. But that first year, we
so
did it.
set it
But,
up for 12 o'clock,
okay.
6 p.m. meeting that night.
6
Yeah.
p.m. and 8 that night.
Get a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Get a second. Get a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, approve claims docket. Anybody got any questions?
I got something. I got to put this in.
That's what this new software is, yeah. Trying to read it.
Oh, I'm still having trouble reading it, but, so. Let's look on page 7 of 35. It'll take me a second to get it pulled up, so. And I'm going off the bottom of each page's number. Oh, 7. All right. Bradley, Arant, Bolton, Cummings, $34,170 legal fees.
That's what,
It's on page
Page 7.
It's the very top of 7.
Who is that?
I'm waiting on the answer.
You looking?
that's what we pay every month, the Luciano, the legal fees.
Is that with Kate Reynolds?
I don't know.
It's a case through Luciano.
I can't hear you.
It's one of those legal fees that's through the Jackson Luciano firm. It's a case, that's the name of the case.
Who'd you say it was?
Is this,
Is it with Kate Margolis for the hail damage?
Yes, it is.
So,
Next question, come find out.
yeah. I'll say I have an update.
I got to follow up to that question. Is that,
Everything went up.
Yeah, it's on behalf of Arnold. It's an invoice that he sent in.
The insurance coverage.
For insurance coverage. You wanna take a look at it?
I don't know, you paid it, so, or asking for it to pay it.
It's an insurance matter, that's a legal matter that's handled by Arnold, and this is his invoice for that case.
We didn't have a set amount of what we was gonna spend. Like 10,000, 15,000.
We had a set amount for this, when we approved it,
Oh,
it was like, I want to say it was like $10,000 was our
okay.
net.
What was that PO number? 9220054?
Yes.
All right, we can move forward. I can pull that one off and get us this information. I'm not gonna approve that one exactly what it's for. All right, page 17.
You said 17?
Page 17, I'm going off the pages at the bottom of each page. 17. 16, 17. All right, you know which one I'm probably talking about.
$54,000.
Yes, ma'am.
That,
The energy bill? Yes.
$54,279.
The energy bill,
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
what campus is that?
all of them.
So,
Go to the next page, 19 in the first down,
19?
Page 19,
well, 18, 19.
next page.
With this look right here, it doesn't give the code, the school code.
18, 19 is for all campuses. That's a total of all of them together.
okay, so, and I understand that, I can follow that right there. But it's on page 17, it's got 54,279.
That's the total of all of them.
That's total of all of them, okay? So now then, I go down here to the bottom,
Where's that invoice?
54,800.
That's every energy bill that's on page 17 through 19.
I see that, but why, I can't figure out why there's two different numbers.
Two different amounts.
54.2 and 54.8.
You should see three different numbers. You see the one for Hayes Cooper, shelter at the top?
I see Hayes Cooper.
That's 496.29.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see, this is, BM Smith for 25.
It's 53.
53, and then you see 54, 279.90. That's all three of them total up to be 54,801.72.
All right, so you can see where that's confusing for me to look at.
That's why I just highlighted on all of them, the invoice and the
So-
total.
Because those are out there to the far right, and then you got the 50, the highlighted part, 54 is back to the left. If I'm following the column,
One to the right.
if that's gonna be the total of those invoices, it needs to be over there where it shows the total of them. In my opinion, I'm not an accountant, I'm a layperson. And, but this thing is very,
This new software, this is what she
Different
gave me when I asked
too.
her, when I told her what you were asking for the last meeting, this is what she gave me.
okay, well, we're gonna keep refining it till we can understand it.
We can read it.
Because if we can't understand it as a board,
Came from
it makes sense to us, we can't approve it. We can't approve it, bills don't get paid. So we've got to, it's got to be put to us in a format that we can follow. I know we were used to the same format for the last 20 years. We can adjust. Y'all got to work with us. All right, 23 and 24. 2,300. I never could figure out who that was to.
19.
Oh, here it was. We got, this is so confusing to me.
Lean tree, sir.
Okay.
It says Lenny Sub Shop.
What page? What page?
Starting on page 23, the bottom of 23, the top of 24. We got invoice number 965601, amount $2,300.
That leaves tree, sir.
Where do you see leads even?
Right
at?
below
I see
that.
3,000.
Now, 3,000 on least.
Page.
Looks like the PO was for 3,000, but he might have only charged us 2,300.
Now, least.
I'm just going off what-
That's tree service,
You
3,000.
see leaf.
What's the 2,300 for then? 9,500.
That's how much the invoice.
That was the actual invoice.
Okay.
The purchase order was.
So you let the PO for 3,000
Okay.
and
Charge
it's
2300.
2,300.
Yeah, that was for Bill Capital Tree,
Tree.
and also the tree leaning on the band hall at high school.
Okay. It wasn't the work that I was questioning, it's the money, because it doesn't. All right, that's all I have, and,
Yeah.
President, go ahead.
No, I was asking Todd.
Says Lenny's with that 4133.
Right, I got it.
43.
We can keep working on this.
Understand? It's new.
I'm gonna make the motion to, accept the claims docket with holding that, PO. And clarify me if I'm right now, the PO number is 9220054.
That's right.
Yes.
For further information, we need to get that cleared up. There's two questions on that. What's it for? I got an idea of what it's
Yeah,
for.
we
The
got
second one is,
Set amount.
how much had we approved for that payment? Okay?
Okay.
Yep.
And if it's, if they didn't get paid in a hurry, y'all can get in touch with us and we can approve it if their questions are answered. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Been moved in the second to approve the, claim docket, with the exception of that one,
9220054.
exception of that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right. Approval of FY 22 budget. Can I get a motion?
We got everything we needed in there?
Yes,
We got school buses in there?
we got school buses and we have the pyramid roof.
I didn't understand the second part.
Pyramid roof.
School buses and the pyramid roof are the biggest ticket items that we budgeted for.
Pyramid roof.
The pyramid.
Pyramid roof.
That's part of your,
That's part of it.
part of your S of deal.
Hey, pyramid, we went ahead and budgeted for pyramid roof, but the others, we trying to use that fund.
All right.
Okay.
Were there any changes from the budget work session?
Changes, not much, nothing added or taken away.
Not much.
No. We just completed the personnel side of the budget, but the revenue, just like I told you, for Avalon, none of that changed. The debt service, the pyramid roof, the 3 buses, all of that, nothing changed.
Okay. I'll make a motion we approve.
Can I get a second?
I see.
A motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
And Mr. Boggs, Mr. Luciano said, thanks for pulling it. He gonna explain it to you.
Approval of restructure plan for dropout prevention.
Make a motion to approve.
Been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approve and give CSD employees just 7 days of sick leave. I think we need a little more information on that, don't we?
I make a motion to table for additional information.
And Arnold's looking at some additional information for us.
Can we talk to Arnold?
Yes, we talked to Arnold, and Arnold's looking at some information for us.
Can I get a second on the table?
Second.
All right. Been moved and seconded to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approve, right, remove from table and approve test security plan.
Make a motion we approve it as presented to us.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the security plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, remove from table and approve alternative school handbook.
Everybody good with it?
Can I get a motion?
Make the motion to approve.
Get a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Remove from table and approve child nutrition employee handbook. Get a motion?
Make a motion we approve it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of Bailey Educational Group LLC to develop NTSS intervention database ESSA funds.
That means it's been paid to ESSA funds.
What exactly is that?
What, the database? So last year, when we would meet with the different school principals and teachers, one of the ongoing things was we need more resources to help us with the kids intervention. And so we pulled a focus group together. They said they really want like an easy to follow database. So it'd be broken down by subject and grade level with multiple interventions they can pick from to help with their small.
Make it easier for them to find solutions.
Pretty much that's with their grade. Yes, sir.
Make a motion we approve it.
I second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of CSD Booster Club forms to match the Booster Club policy.
I got just a couple of questions on this, as you knew I would.
I figured you would.
And, you know, I think it's well-written. I think it covers a lot of areas. You know, one of my main concerns is all fundraisers must be pre-approved. That's a good thing. All right. The program director, coach, or his or her designee of the specific extracurricular activity must be present at all Booster Club meetings. and apprised of all potential club activities. Any action taken at a Booster Club meeting is subject to review and revocation by the director, coach, or principal. So, I'm not really following that. In other words, and Coach Cotton, you've got a unique perspective on this because you've been all of those things.
Correct.
So, how do you see that? I mean, are you gonna tell your coaches you're gonna attend these Booster Club meetings?
No, no.
Let's say you're the director, or
Correct.
say you're the athletic director.
Correct. I don't think he's gonna mandate that they attend all of them, but what I did when I was athletic director, they had to attend a certain number at their, convenience. So that they were part of what's going on and showed their faith, not just when they wanted something. So, no, to answer that question, no, I don't think they'll be at all.
Will they be required to join?
We didn't go as far, we
Well,
suggested.
you want me to spend some money with your program and you don't want to put no money in the program?
Well, but still we can't, we didn't necessarily say you gotta pay your whatever to join, but we strongly suggested that they be a part of it.
You can always, I've always said, the Booster Club member that can give of their time is well worth the guy that can walk in there and hand you $1,000. That gal and girl, the female, husband, wife, that comes up to that school and volunteers in the concession stand, volunteers wherever, that's worth more than any money you'll ever get, because they work it, they're doing it. So, my thing is I want the coaches to support it. You can't just show up when you want something. You can't just, when you have a fundraiser, it's for the whole athletic department. And I know this is written for all booster clubs, but I'm breaking it down to the high school booster club. So it's just as important to raise money for basketball as it is football as it is track, because when you need something in track, you need some new hurdles. And you need to buy, 30 hurdles, whatever it is. If your track team didn't help sell some tickets, it's a hard thing to do, but that's the only way. And this money is getting put back into the program. It's not money that's getting misused.
Correct.
And so I would like to see you encourage your coaches with adoption of this policy, saying, here's the policy. This is the school board's policy. And you're going to support it. And
Now, we're actually getting asked to approve the forms.
we put it in our policy. This is our policy, JHA.
Yeah, but
We have them line up their policy with our policy.
Correct.
Basically.
And everything is, Todd, there was no direct policy in our policies that said anything about booster clubs. But we always approve their handbooks or their whatever. But this specifies it out, there's no contracts between third parties. It has to come through the principal to us. If Under Armour wanted to give them $1,000,
so our motion would be to approve the policy and the forms.
we're gonna approve it,
Not
the
the
whole
forms to
thing.
match the policy.
The forms are gonna go into our policy, until we have, we might have to make changes to it.
Coach Cotton,
Yes, ma'am.
would you consider asking them to be mindful of their meeting dates? Because they always meet on the same day and time that we meet. So it's unrealistic for them. You need to be in that meeting, but there may be times when you need to be here as well. You can't clone yourself. Same thing with Dr. Belcher. He would like to attend some of those meetings, but he can't because he has to be here. They always have them on the same day and time that we have our meetings. So would you consider asking them to take that into consideration when they schedule their meetings? I know you have to schedule meetings according to what's convenient for you.
Right.
But it would be great if they could take that into consideration.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, can I get a motion on number 13?
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
Been moved to the second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval to accept recommendation from Delta Landscape, complete lawn care for a 12-month contract in the amount of $69,996 for lawn service. Hardin, D.M. Smith, Cypress, Cleveland Central High School, Cleveland Central Middle School, and Central Office.
So that would alleviate all the grass that we have on that,
On the east side.
on the east side, cause it was ridiculous at one time. The parents felt so bad, I saw parents out there cutting the grass because,
When was
for
it?
whatever reason.
Earlier
That was a
this
couple
year.
weeks ago.
Well, it was earlier this year too.
I mean,
But
yeah,
is this the same company that had it last year?
Yes, sir.
were they doing the middle school,
Well, what area are you talking about?
the football field, the track field?
The athletic department.
They do everything inside.
The football coach.
Well, we need to come, to do something because it's an eyesore, first of all.
Yeah, and I agree, Ms.
The
Short,
parents should
because,
not, I appreciate the parents, but they should, we pay somebody to cut the field. So I have a problem with the parents having to come out there with their personal equipment to do something that we're paying someone else to do.
If something happens, we will be liable.
Yeah.
yeah, and one thing what happened was, and I'll say something about that, I cut in the field, and I think you called me to give me an update. We had a mower that was broken, and it was at the shop getting fixed, so the coaches couldn't mow.
Let me ask this. Do we just have one more?
Then we got
Mr.
two.
Hampton, does the middle school not have access to other mowers in the district?
I know the maintenance department have one or two more,
Okay.
but, the athletic department, they have always had.
Tony, those mowers were bought by the butcher club.
That means nothing. They donate them to the district.
I understand
So they're
that,
part of
sweetheart.
the
So-
district now.
So either we need to get them a new mower, or the butcher club get them, whatever, but, you know, they
But
bought
we
those
can't
mowers
say
years
that.
ago.
We can't say that the booster club bought them so nobody else can use them, because once they donate them to the district, they're property of the district.
Nobody said that.
Oh, I thought that's what you said.
No, in other words,
The coaches.
they don't go to maintenance to get the lawnmower.
Okay.
The lawnmowers were donated to the athletic programs years ago.
But in a situation like this where the mowers were out of commission, could they not have borrowed the mowers that we have in maintenance?
Sure, they just have to communicate.
What we did on there, we did bring a mower from the high school to the middle school for them to use.
Okay.
They did help coach,
So, I mean, I'm all for putting money in the budget to buy the athletic department 2 new mowers. If that's what y'all want to do.
We need to do something so that they have access to be able to cut those fields when they need to be cut, because those people over there keep their yards nice.
I agree.
That's a nice area. And to drive by there and see all this grass and just looking all crazy over there, that's not acceptable. I don't like that at all.
Where's the middle school principal,
Yeah, we started getting called.
Well, he.
Yeah, they start calling us.
The main thing
He
is,
ought to be able to communicate with them and make sure who's in charge of that, so when it does tear up, somebody gets it, somebody get fixed.
Dr. Belcher,
Yeah.
would you find out who's in charge of mowing that? Somebody's getting a supplement for that. Let's
That's
find
right.
out.
That-
Work
good-
it out.
good
And let's
supplement.
find a plan to correct.
Yes.
Let's
It's a
do it.
good supplement too.
Yeah.
Did anything change between this year and last year on this contract?
No, same location, same area.
Same price?
Same area?
No, lower price.
Lower price?
Yes, sir.
I can't get a motion to accept this.
And we're covering the campuses, the districts kept the campuses that are not covered on this
Yes,
contract.
sir.
A second. You make a motion.
Can I get a motion?
Richard did.
Yes.
Next.
Second.
All right, Todd seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, request to amend ESSER 2 fund HVAC replacement project and other projects as authorized by the district to include all approved ESSER funds funding sources. Can I
Make
get
the motion.
Second.
Can I get a motion saying, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Request to approve the L and Bailey and Association contract agreement for architectural and engineering design. Company approved during July meeting.
That's just a continuation of that.
Well, this, contract, it was turned over for the board, turned over to the board, county for review.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion second to approve, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval for a new location to be added for the bus turnaround in the town of Renovo. I think town of Renovo going to put in one, so can I get a motion to approve?
I make the motion.
Second.
Get a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval
So,
of
let me ask a
road.
question. So at this point, does the recommendation go to the board of supervisors from us, or does it go back to the town of Renova and they take it to the board of supervisors?
Let me follow up with Mr.
Okay,
Alexander and get you correct now.
okay.
Where's the bus currently turning around at, Renova?
It's not,
It's
it's
not.
not having to stand in the rain.
All right, approval of Rosemont Consulting Services LLC to serve as a social, emotional, learning support services for students and personnel. Who is
So
Ro- Who is Rosemont?
Yeah. What is Rosamond?
Hey, man.
Rosemont submitted a request for proposal to offer services for school year. We currently use Rosemont.
We used it last year.
Yes, sir, but not in this capacity. We use Rosemont for our SPED services, testing children, and helping with our counselors. So this year, they submitted a bid to offer all services regarding SEL for the district.
All right, can I get a motion?
That's what you want?
Yes, sir. We need it.
How does this relate to, life health? Are they pretty much the same, or are they two different entities?
Two different entities.
We don't, okay.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
Been motion second for Rosemont, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Request to approve changes per policy updates to the 2021-22 student handbook. Can I get a motion?
That's the change we both, read last
Read
fall.
last, table.
And tabled it. Make your motion to approve.
Second.
Been motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Request to approve changes per policy in the 21-22 employee handbook.
And there again, that's the same
We'll
that
cover
we
those
went over
policies.
last fall. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Been motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Request to approve permanent transfer of operating expenses.
So,
Approve permanent
tell us
transfer.
what we got going on here.
What we got going on now?
Okay. Let me find it. These have to do with your, athletic transfers. Last year, you all approved for $130,000 from district to athletic for operating services for the school year. And you also approved a $50,000 travel. The balance of what they spent from travel last year is what we carried over this year to $28,000. And Ms. Wade has already had conversation to allow them to spend the balance of that money for travel and operating expenditures from district to athletics.
When we approved the budget, didn't that happen?
Yes, this is part of the budget. But we want,
We approved the budget, and then we budgeted the money for it that's in the budget. Then why are we approving it again?
we're trying to show as a transfer because it's money that they did not earn. And so we want to show this as a separate that you're knowing that.
So this is an accounting issue.
Right.
But in the budget, we budgeted them $150,000 for that. Okay, all right, I got you.
It's okay.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
I think it has a lot to do when she gets audited too. Like when we do our audit to show that we did that. It's all in the budget, but we just want to double cross the T's, double
It's
cross
not
the
gonna be
I's.
you, it's gonna be you and us when it's not right.
I got a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have discussion table policy IAC virtual learning days.
Make the motion to table.
Second.
Been motion and second to table policy, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have discussion table of selection of attendance reporting policy pursuant to the board policy JBD, attendance, charges, and excuses.
Make a motion to table.
Second.
Motion to table, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I have discussion table of all the federal programs 21-22 procedural manual.
Make a motion to table.
Second.
Been motioned and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Discussion and table of federal programs, procedures, manual for English learners, migrant students, and homeless students.
Make a motion to table.
Second.
Been motioned and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
So at a rate of 4 policies a meeting, we'll be able to cover all the ones we need to cover in a year's time?
They asking you, Katie.
I know,
Just say yes.
I hope so.
That's a safe answer.
All right, approve of personnel.
I have a question, Ms. Ford. I noticed, there were some teachers or some employees who had termination rehire eligible. How does that work?
These are employees that were, when we did the restructure of the district personnel, they chose not to pursue opportunities within the district. So they are still eligible for rehire, but I just wanted that known. Not saying that they are abandoned, they just chose not to retire.
So it's just your way of showing it that they were terminated with the,
Yes, sir.
did not
They are
violate
eligible
the
to come back,
contract.
should they choose to come back in the future.
Okay.
All right, can I get a motion to approve personnel?
On the, is that to include the supplements?
The revised pay schedule.
At the very bottom? Is the highlight in yellow what we're asking?
These are the ones that are added this month. The initial list was submitted last month, and they had a coaches meeting to finalize, and these were the ones that were added.
Okay. So the two coordinators, one's offensive coordinator and the other's defensive coordinator?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Make a motion we approve.
I'll say that.
Been motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Can I get a motion to consider executive session?
Mr. Evans, can I get one more shout out? I got one that I forgot to put on my thing. The Sunshine Lodge number 99. Shout out to them for cleaning off the nailer. They did a clean off of some weeds and stuff on a Saturday. They took their own time and they went out there and they cleaned that off voluntarily. So Mr. Johnson had sent me a message, and I apologize for not putting him on my update. I just want to shout him out.
Good deal.
And we appreciate it. All right. Get a motion to consider executive session.
So moved.
You got a second?
Second.
And motion to second. Motion to second, all those in favor? Opposed? State reading for executive session, readmission of students,
Yep.
legal matters.
Bring legal matters.
You got any legal matters?
Yes.
And
Couples.
I guess that's about it.
That's it.
Can I get a motion to go in state reasons?
I'll make that motion.
Then motion second, go in executive session, all in favor?